Alright, it is 9:55 a.m. and so far I think I am down maybe $10 trading MTRT. And I think after this one with MTRT, I'm probably gonna stay away from stocks that have a spread, even though a lot of times I see a stock that trades with a spread and I see how I could have traded it profitably. When I actually trade it, it just doesn't seem to work, so I'm not gonna play with that, but maybe I can try again later. I was trying to do a morning panic bounce play. I didn't like the first trade. I was a bit too early with it, but I'll explain it. And I think the second one is fine. Overall, this one trades with a spread. It's actually not that bad right now. It was a lot worse at some points, and it also kind of dried up in terms of volume. But I was considering it for that morning panic bounce play, and I even think this is the one I considered shorting at. Yeah, this is the one I considered shorting at some point, but it was very expensive to borrow shares of this stock. And let's just go over the first one. This trend line I drew later. At the moment, I didn't have a trend line, and in the future, which is probably going to be a long time if I follow my rule and not, trade stocks with a wide spread. I won't be doing this, but in the future I should have like a trend line. It was based off of these two red candles here, and it started the downtrend. But my first buy was at 940, which was right here at 516, and the idea is that it looked like it was trying to trade off of this level in the 520s, 530s, and then the level 2 dropped, like the bid and the ask, to a much lower level, and 516 was at the bid. And I thought, this might have been the possibility where I wasn't too interested in it here in the 520s and 530s, but here at 516, I thought, I can probably take a buy at 516, and I'll cut the trade if it breaks under 5, because I thought 5 would hold, and it did not hold at all. It just broke right under it. So I was in it at, again, 516 right here at 940, and it immediately didn't work. And I tried to have that idea of selling if it were to have broken 5, and it broke through 5 very easily. As you can see, it continued a downtrend, but I was able to get out at 4.99, which is, just 1 penny from 5. That's totally fine. And then it did trade around this range. This trade was a bit premature. I probably should have, saw how it would trade now that the level 2 dropped, and see if it would hold that level, or try to consolidate and maybe look like it's going to turn around or break this trend line that in theory I would have in the future with something like this. But yeah, that was premature. I shouldn't have had that first trade. The second one I don't mind, and I'm trading this with a $5 risk level because of the fact that it's not an ideal morning panic bounce play, because it's higher price and it doesn't have to work out. I also had in mind that yesterday it had a similar drop, just not as well as this one, because this one has much more volume and it didn't really bounce, so I had that in mind. But if there's more volume, there's more potential that it could turn around. And then after that, I don't mind this trade right here at, what was it, 943. I was in at 5, right here at 5, right when it was looking like it was trying to, play off of this 493 and 5 level, and in theory break this trend line right here. Even though I didn't have one, I had it, in mind that it could be breaking one. But if I were to have had one drawn, I would have obviously missed, the first trade. I wouldn't have traded it because it was, still under it, and it continued a downtrend. But when it pierced it, it wasn't too bad at 943, and I was in at 5, which was the ask. And my idea was that if it were to look like it's going to break 490, so I'm just risking about 10 pennies. Well, not 10 pennies, maybe like 15 if it were to have broken 490, and I, can't get out at 490 before it looks like it's going to break it, then that's going to be the case with that. But actually, no, I had an order here at 945, right? You can see that's when I placed my order, but I didn't get filled, as you can tell, because it, it says 480. I never got filled at 480. I got filled into here, basically the bottom. and you know, it broke under it, and it just had like a big gap. I mean, that's part of trading with a spread, so that really sucked. Maybe when I trade a stock with a wide spread in the future, I might consider, you know, and it makes me look stupid now that, you know, it's actually not too bad, but at the time it was pretty bad. But maybe in the future I'll just have to be that guy who tries to buy at the bid, and you know, try to always sell at the ask or something like that, or maybe just not deal with it. I don't have to trade these, but that was the case there. And then it, you know, pretty much pissed me off because, you know, once it started to trade off of this 480, and it did briefly go to 470 with a lot of volume, they just lifted the bid and the ask way up into the $5 range. And as you can see, it was trading up here for a while, but I wouldn't have been that profitable. And I would have felt like crap if I held through this drop, because this thing could have went to $4 or something crazy like that. Especially, you know, the way it's run up. So yeah, those were the two trades with that. There is nothing else that I'm too interested in except for this one. If it maybe drops towards VWAP, although maybe not anymore because it looks a bit gradual. Nothing too impressive with ILUS. It didn't have like a range it traded before it broke out of it. This was like a dip and then, you know, a break later. That's not something I really would be interested in. I would be interested in something like ICO8, that it trades a range here and then it breaks it in the morning, and then that can make a nice run, but that wasn't the case with ILUS. This was a bit different. Yeah, that's more like it. I don't know if it was there, but I mean, this thing easily had a 20-cent spread. Maybe this thing could be like a morning panic bounce play double bottom, but I might consider that, but I might just trade like one share just just to say I traded it, because I probably just want to stay away from these now. But you know, the issue also is that you can place an order at 480, and then you hope 480 is like the range is going to hold, or maybe worst case, you know, it gets to 470, but you could just rip right through 480, and then you see all the support at 470, and when 480 breaks, this disappears, and now it's at like 450, and now you're like crap. So I'll watch this and see what this can do, but maybe this could be the double bottom higher low setup potentially. And I'll look at ELEK, but that's what I have for right now. I'm gonna try not to take these things so personally. It's not like, you know, I'm trading with so much money anyway. But it sucks to lose, sure, but I just need to learn from that and not take things so personally. If it takes me, you know, 16 months to break out of the break-even point on my Profitly chart, so be it. I'll make an update later. Alright, it is 12:55 p.m. I haven't really been looking at the markets too much, but I did see this with DPLS, and that it tried, you know, a bounce. It got to 46 max panic, and then it made a move to 50. And I did see that Tim Sykes traded it, but something that I've learned is that you have to sell them kind of quickly, at least as of right now, especially this one being later in the day, not an initial morning panic bounce play. This one was uptrending throughout the day. I could have in theory traded the breakout here, but once it gets past 11 o'clock, I stopped looking at the market so much. But this one did do a nice breakout, and it ran from 55 to 59, and I might have been tempted to take a trade here. Maybe not so much because it gradually came to VWAP and not quickly, but I regret my sell here because I felt like I didn't really hold on to it as well as I could have. Even though it was not too ideal and that it was later in the day, I felt like I just didn't hold on to this one. And you know, this is one where I could have maybe, for example, I've done a trend line here and to this candle corner right here, give or take, and that's pretty much the underside. You know, you can say this, and then this would be like the top end, right? So if it's too exaggerative, if it breaks above the trend line, I would consider selling even if it hasn't broken below it. Just because this one trades with a bit of a range here, and I would definitely cut it if it breaks below the trend line. At this point, if it were to have gotten below 466, I would consider getting out. And if it were to break this trend line on the upside, sell, even though it might even continue to do more or try to head towards VWAP. Although I don't think this one can. It's totally possible though. I just feel like I didn't hold on to this one as well as I could have, and it doesn't seem like I even traded enough of shares. I thought 10,000 shares, and I thought, okay, you know, let me just see, 1251 was my entry, and I was in at 444, right here, 444, kind of hard to see now. No way, did I really get 444 at 1251? I almost got the very bottom. My idea was that I saw a level 2 reversal here, and also liked how close we were to 44, which is the same idea I had with MTRT, in that it was super close to. Holy shit. Man, I feel like a fucking dumbass selling at 480, but I would have never expected something like that to happen. And no way I would have held that long, but my idea with MTRT is similar, that when it was dropping, I thought I could play off of 5, and I'm kind of close to that number. But this one was better because, I saw a level 2 reversal, and I said, all right, worst case scenario, I'm in at 44, in this case 44.4, and, it drops to 44, which is a day low off of this candle, and it might, downtrend even more, but at least I'm so close to this level that it's probably going to be a level of support. So, I could be in right here, and then it breaks the day low, and ideally there's going to be a wall of bidders at 44 and I'm out. And that would have been the case with that, right? And then I was in at that price at 1251, and I sold 1252 the next minute. Barely held on to this at 461. That was 1252. Yeah, right here in this jumbly mess at 1252, I was out. Right here, 461. And in theory, if I didn't undersell, if I didn't sell so quickly, I would still be, in this trade at 48, which would be super nice. Let's just see what a sell at 485 would be, even though I wouldn't sell there, unless I would maybe sell half my position, right? Right here, 8,000 shares. What if I sold at 485? Right, that's $32, which is nice. A nice percent gain too, almost 10%. I didn't sell this one as well as I could have, especially how nice of a run up it's been having. I will be watching this tomorrow for a morning panic bounce play if setup plays out, but right now I would still be in this, maybe in half my position to sell, which I wouldn't mind at all, selling half at 485 and then sell the rest if it breaks under the trend line, or if it breaks above it on this trend line. Let's see what this thing can do. It's at 488. That is crazy. MTRT went to $8. As upset I could be, at least I didn't short the stupid thing. That would have sucked even more. And this is a former runner. It's known to do stuff like this. See, it had a nice run before. It's trying to play off of 48, but I would definitely be out half of my position because the momentum is taking a pause here. It might catch its breath here and continue, but it might also just lose steam and downtrend. So I'd be very happy if I were to have sold half at 485 right now. And then again, the other half if it breaks the trend line, or the other half if it breaks above it. Best case scenario, it keeps playing within this range and it goes to VWAP, which is 51.3. I had a super killer entry. I didn't know it was that good. I also didn't like how Tim was in this right here, and then he had a cellular, and I was kind of worried that, um, because I was in the setup, and then his cellular showed up. That maybe his little you know headless chicken followers who are just copying his trades are going to be dumping their shares too, and that might affect it, but not in this case if there's so much volume here. Maybe I'm not such a bad trader. Maybe there just hasn't been good setups recently with nice volume. This one had 64 million shares. Alright, so times VWAP, which is 51.3-ish. That's $3 million of volume. $3 million dollars in terms of, yeah, volume. So $3 million of trading. I might be getting out if I still had the other half here. Just because 481 is right here, and it doesn't seem like there's anybody supporting 48. There's one now, but I didn't like how it would jump from 481 to 47, and then it could be a panic. But it's still trying to hold itself. I wouldn't be upset if I sold the other half here. I don't like where I sold ultimately so quickly. I know that, it was a later day panic, but the volume was there and the price action looked nice. I did have fears again from that sell alert from Tim Sykes. But it looks like it's trying to hold off of that 48 level, at least right now. But 49 is definitely looking like the ceiling, maybe 491. So it would have to break 491 to, bring more confidence in the trade. Not in the trade, but in the stock for people to consider longing it maybe here. This could make an inverse head and shoulders if it makes a nice run towards VWAP perhaps, but I probably wouldn't want to trade that because the way this one looks is kind of, I don't know, I don't like the way how exaggerated it looks sometimes, although it helped in my case. And guess what? Now I'm up on the day from that trade with DPLS, which is nice. Because the earlier version of me would be super pissed off with MTRT losing 10 bucks. And then, I would be like just burnt out and I wouldn't have considered trading that here because I would have hesitated it just because I had a loser trade. I didn't take the MTRT personally. It did piss me off, sure, that I lost money, but now I made it back and I'm green with DPLS and I didn't even sell nicely. This could have been like the $30 day, or I guess a $20 day with the $10 loss. I think I lost $9 in total with MTRT. Alright, at this point I'd be out the other half, even though this thing could just pop and break 491 and maybe try to trade within this range again or do something with VWAP. I don't like how it's just starting to maybe pierce under it. And there is a big, not really a big seller, but there is a seller, at 49, two sellers. I'd probably be out the other half right here. Even though there's a chance it could do this 49-1 pop, and make a run towards 50. Or I guess 5 cents if you want to be specific. Yeah, definitely be out. So what would it have been at 485 again? Yeah, I would have made 32 bucks. Instead I made 13. Could have definitely have made more. Because this one offered, it's not like hindsight is 2020 because I drew a trend line off of this candle and this candle before all of this price action. It's just something that I've seen over time that a lot of them could try to follow the trend lines very early on when it starts to reverse, but I'll make an update to see what this one can do. It might try to do it now, but I would have had a very safe exit right at the trend line pierce, right? Even if it tries to get back You know, I would avoid something where it breaks under the trend line and then it has another panic. Although, you know, it's can still continue. It can be like MTRT, just have a panic and then come back later in the day. But not really as much with this one. But that's impressive that MTRT got up to $8. Look at the spread. Now you can see how ugly the spread is. Jeez. And I'm sure part of that is the short sellers who are forced to buy back the shares. I was interested in ELEK right here. I hesitated because of MTRT, but this isn't really that nice of a setup because a lot of these have like a 1 day spike and it fades off. Although this one's a bit nicer because it had a second day run up, right? But this one did make a move from 30, and the problem was this one also had a wide spread. I would have been in at 33, and it did uptrend a little more, but you can see the bottom of these candles was around 34 or 33 5, so I wouldn't have made that much anyway just because of the spread unless I were to have been able to sell my shares at the ask. Yeah, but this is well out the trend line. I would have been out, even though this can consolidate an uptrend. What I would have traded with this, you know, would have been right here, and I would have been out. This thing can consolidate maybe an uptrend later, or maybe try to follow the trend line from the underside. I've seen that, but I would have been out of this trade. Very happy that I traded that, even though I had a horrible sell. You know, hey, I'm happy that I'm up on the day now, and I'll probably make an update when the markets are closed. Alright, it is 11:24 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I am up $4.57 today. Taking 2 L's with MTRT. None of the setups worked out, and I should have avoided the first one, which was a premature entry. The second one, I don't mind too much, and this was pretty nice the way it came back, but you know, that wasn't the morning panic bounce play expectation that I had. If it were to have worked out, I would have tried selling at VWAP. The way this one did the turnaround didn't really work because the level 2 just lifted up. It wasn't it wasn't like it just turned around and worked its way up. The level 2 just literally lifted itself up and made that move there. But yeah, that was that with MTRT and DPLS. The inverse head and shoulders actually worked out really nicely here. Here was the level, but I just didn't like how, and you can see how after the trend line broke, it did downtrend, but I don't like how sharp it was, and I wasn't really there anymore when this part happened, but you know, it did kind of do an inverse head and shoulders from, you know, I guess maybe you're in at 48 and then it gets to 49.6, but then it gets back, but at least it held 48 and then it made a move towards VWAP. So 48 to 51 is pretty good in terms of percentage, if you ask me. It's not horrible, and this was pretty predictable. It wasn't like, you know, it played off of 48 here and then it broke under it and then broke under 45 or something. No, this was it. This inverse head and shoulder, shoulder head shoulder. Pretty happy that worked out. If I can see a morning panic bounce play tomorrow with DPLS, that will be great. That will be a priority. If it looks clean and nice, I might consider it. It looks like it did try here and it failed. And then this was the ultimate bottom, so I might have that in mind that if it's looking like it might do a level 2 reversal and everything, I might be in it, but I have to take into consideration that it might fail too. Again, super nice from, in theory, 48 to 53 best case scenario, or 51, which is VWAP. Super nice there. I'll be looking forward to DPLS for a morning panic bounce play. As for the other ones, no interest with ICOA. Oh, there was a trend line I had to delete. Nothing with AABB. ILUS keeps uptrending. Kind of sketchy, but it's uptrending. This thing could offer a morning panic bounce play too. But DPLS is much better, if you ask me, because it went from this 28 level to 51, while ILUS is 12 to 18. So I like DPLS much more. I'm probably not going to trade MTRT because it has a wide spread. I'm probably going to ban myself from considering those types of stocks. And this one I'll watch. Maybe it can do a second day run up, break the day high, or maybe, you know, something cool like that. Maybe it'll just fade like it did here. Actually, no, it did an explosion and then it faded eventually, but I'll be watching that. DPLS number 1, ILUS number 2, and ELEK, and then AABB, I see you later last. That's all I have for today. Very happy that I ended at green, and I could have traded DPLS much better, sold much more profitably in the 485 level, and made it, you know, a $20 day instead of a $4 day. And I don't mind too much missing this, but I'm happy that it worked out. That gives me more confidence to consider something like that in the future.